with the new album, or since the release of Pole, it seems that the projects and everything you're working with are taking on the image of like a wall of sound type thing, and all of these layers and everything. Is that due to like new recording techniques that you've developed, or more time in the studio, or is that more like an emotional thing?
No, well, it's always, I mean, I think I've always worked in those kind of layers. My knowledge of working in the studio has kind of grown a lot over the years, and how to achieve what I want. And also, like, when I started off doing stuff, sampling didn't exist. The way that I was working, I was using a lot of tape manipulation and found sounds, collage kind of stuff, and which is basically sampling without having a sample. And since the advent of sampling, it's just a way of organizing the sounds, in a more workable structure. But my stuff isn't, exclusively sampled. Anyway, I mean, I still use a lot of black percussion, guitars, violins, motorcycles. It comes along and makes a groovy sound.
What about that heavy sound? It's just like a more metallic, and then the earlier finish. You've got like this, wall right there, and it's just like everything pushing up against you.
Well, yeah, my philosophy on mixing is everything should sound louder than anything else. So, I guess that's how it comes about.
Tough to achieve in the studio?
Well, no, not for me. I mean, I know how to do it. Well, Piz is a cartoonist, and he's done some drawings for Ed Big Daddy Roth, and I've met him through Robert Williams, and he approached me with the idea of covering the song Powerhouse, which I was already familiar with through the old Warner Brothers cartoons, and I thought it was a cool idea. And that collaboration was more, he was like the impetus behind it, and was there when I recorded it, but I ended up playing everything on it. And so it's more that sort of relationship, and the same with some of the other collaborators I've worked with. They've been more sort of, I mean, if they weren't there, it wouldn't have turned out like it did, but I end up playing everything on it anyway, so it's that kind of synergy, which is a different way of working, but, each project is a different consideration. It's a different ballgame.
How'd you get involved with Robert Williams?
I just really liked his work, and first of all, I saw the first thing I think I saw of his was the Coochie Cootie comic that he did, and then I tracked down a lot of his work. And this is like before. This is, I think, when he was just starting off doing the Zombie Mystery Painting series, and I got a hold of his address and sent him a bunch of records saying that I'd like to work with him. First of all, to do a Wise Blood poster. And so he came up with this Wise Blood logo, and then I arranged to use one of his paintings as as the sleeve for the Flesh Volcano, and I just really like his work.
So I take it he really likes the music?
I think he's into it.
Yeah. You've got the instrumental LP coming out. What inspired you to do all the instrumentals? Was there?
Well, the last few Foetus LPs have been becoming increasingly more instrumental, and I decided to kind of split the two and start a new project, which gave me an opportunity to collaborate with a lot of people that I wanted to work with, like away from Voivod and Raymond Watts, Donna Fleming, a host of others, and I wanted to do something on which the focus would be purely on the music, and something which was quite away from the rock spectrum, and there's not really any rock music on there. It runs the gamut from like big band to exotica to musique concrète, I mean, indefinable musical genres. And that's, I've changed the name of that about 5 times, but it's now coming out under the name Steroid Maximus. And the LP is called Gondwana Land. And there'll also be 2 12 inches, along with that with non-LP stuff on it.
Was that, that's what was going to be called Toxico Plus?
Yeah, it was also called Quilombo for a while. It was called The Great Agro. It had like about 5 names before I settled on that. Steroid Maximus came to me in a dream one night. Thought I should stick with it.
You've got a recording studio in your home now?
Yeah.
Does that change the way you record?
Yeah, I think it has, because now I'm engineering myself and there's no buffer whatsoever. And so the process is, I mean, the actual recording process and the compositional process are kind of intertwined a lot more. And I don't know, it's hard for me to say right now how that'll affect my music, you know, in some retrospect on it, but it's, you know, I like it. It's really cool. And it makes it a lot more of a solitary experience too. There's nothing between me and the music.
Do you still give yourself those heavy deadlines? I've read that, you know, you would work yourself up for going into the studio for like that 36-hour, like the graveyard shift of doing that, and you really got a lot of energy.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of work pretty furiously. I mean, now that I've got access to it all the time, I can, you know, have an idea and realize it, you know, instantly, and you know, that's really cool.
Wake up from the dream and run into the studio.
Yeah.
Right. Have you come under any heavy attacks by censorship in the U.S. or abroad?
Not particularly. Not directly, anyway. I mean, it's been more indirect in you know, the censorship of ignorance. I mean, of ignoring one.
Any labels or anything like that on the records or anything?
No, I mean that only. You know, I haven't got any records on major labels. I think it's only the major labels that agreed to do that. Independents aren't called on to do that. But I don't think, even so, you know, any profanity that I have is more implied than actually directly said. So I mean, it would be kind of more like the case was like, say, Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, where they wanted to give it an X rating, even though it's not that explicit, but it's the implication is a lot more. What's so offensive about it?
What about adapting your sound to the live show? Is that a problem at all?
No, I mean, it's interesting to do because a lot of the material was never conceived of to be played live, and so it's kind of a challenge to rearrange the material to work within that format. But you know, I have a pretty big band, and everyone within it is pretty eclectic in terms of, you know, ideas and playing ability. So it's been interesting to do. I mean, some of the songs are radically different than the recorded versions, which is cool. Yeah. Which is how it should be. So they sort of change night to night, you know, kind of conduct it a bit.
Who's on the tour with you this time?
There's Algis Kaziz on bass, Norman Westberg on guitar, Han Rowe on violin, and he also plays some guitar. Vinny Corso on drums, and Dave Lemay on keyboards, and he also plays some trombone.
Excellent. You recently switched from Some Bazaar to Wax Tracks and had some label problems. What was that? Just because you moved, or?
No, I was on Some Bazaar for quite a long time, and things kind of got sour between us, and you know, I finally fulfilled my commitment. And then Wax Tracks actually just licensed from Some Bazaar the double LP, and then contacted me asking if there was anything else in the works, and I said, yeah, well, I've got this single, so they licensed that from me, but it's I'm just doing one-off deals at the moment. There's nothing solid with wax tracks to go.
Who's going to release the instrumental?
I'm still negotiating that.
Okay. How long before we see it? Do you have any idea?
Probably February, March. I'm going to have a deluge of releases around about then. Those are the 3 Steroid Maximus things. 4-track Wise Blood EP, new Clint Ruin Lydia Lunch 12-inch, which is a cover of Don't Fear the Reaper, and probably a double live LP of this tour, or maybe even a triple live LP, decided.
Excellent.
Like Emerson, Lake and Poe.
What inspired you to do Don't Fear the Reaper?
It's a great song. I wanted to do it for a while. I just think it's appropriate. I really like the words. And, I've already started working on it. It sounds really ruling.
I personally don't know who Alex Harvey is, and who is explain.
He's like this eccentric. Well, he was this eccentric Scottish performer who worked in a lot of blues bands in the '60s, and then put together this band, the Sensational Alex Harvey Band. And it was kind of, a lot of his material was kind of storytelling like, but married with some pretty bizarre musical juxtapositions, and pretty theatrical as well. And he did some pretty great stuff. He died about 8 years ago or something.
So you did a cover of a song and
Yeah,
it was released on Thaw.
The Faith Healer. So we're doing that tonight. We're doing it with this live band.